Dr. Jax, but let's
I
get
can
it.
hear you.
You can hear me, but the issue is that we don't know if
Yeah.
they can hear me. But
Okay.
Yeah, I
anyway,
can hear you. This is Mike.
no,
I can hear you very, very well.
you on with us. See, because what's going to happen is as we stream it, because remember we've got two different softwares, and
Oh, I
you know,
got you.
you understand what I'm saying. So you don't work with the
Yep.
software, so it'll look like it's perfect to us, but to the rest of the world, my mouth would just be moving. They'd be like, "Why that dude do it? Why he
Right.
acting like a mine?"
He's doing I see you started.
Yeah, we started.
Um.
We live.
Okay.
So you can let people
All
know, go
right.
to gnj.media or Giami Journey, and boom, 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 it's streaming on all those platforms. And
All right,
Dr.
good
Jax, it's on
evening,
you.
everyone. I am Dr. Stephanie Jackson, a creative chiropractor, a master educator, and a health and wellness coach. It is February, the month of love. And so this month we are going to dedicate our time and efforts to talk about love. Today we're going to be talking about self-love and the importance of self-love. And we're going to uncover and discover some things that we may not have already known about self-love. Okay, so we have some participants. We are streaming live through GNJ
Media.
dot media. All right, so we're streaming live there. Also, if you have the link, go ahead and click the link and join in with us. So, we're going to start talking about the concept of self love. And what I'd like for us to do is to first begin with definitions, right? So, me, I'm an old school teacher. I like to teach first and then let's discuss. So, we're going to talk about self love and defining self love. Anybody that's out here, can you tell me what your definition of self love is before I go ahead and kind of chime in? Anybody?
Adoring yourself.
Adoring
Yeah.
yourself.
I don't want to use the word in the definition. So to adore.
To
To
adore.
to adore you. Um,
So,
For me, it's self-respect and open up to others being able to love you.
Mr. Mike Williams, that is such a great definition, along with Brother Hatem, adoring yourself and self respect. Self love is the profound practice, like what you both said, of cultivating a positive and compassionate relationship with yourself. So,
mm,
like Brother Hatem said, adoring yourself. It involves acknowledging and accepting one's strengths, their weaknesses, and your imperfections while prioritizing personal well being and happiness. So, this extends beyond just your mere self esteem. This extends beyond, adorning yourself. It involves treating yourself with kindness, understanding, and forgiveness. And I don't know about you all, but for me, that can tend to sort of be an issue, especially those of us who are, for lack of a better word, perfectionists, who always have to get everything right. Like, look, I'm fixing my necklace right now because it's kind of sliding to the side. I want it to look absolutely perfect, but man, it's cute enough, right? What do you guys think? Okay, we have some comments here.
uh-oh.
All right. One person says practicing self love encompasses self care, it encompasses setting boundaries. Here on Sofa Chat, we often talk about setting boundaries. And for me, that's a day to day thing, right? Because some days I'm a little more firm, and then other days I'm a little more fluid in terms of boundaries. Like it's not really bothering me as much. So I don't feel as if I need to, put the smack down. All right. By nurturing a loving connection with yourself, individuals can enhance their mental, emotional, physical well being, laying the foundation for a more fulfilling love. All right. So, I would like for us to talk about the connection between our physical, emotional, spiritual bodies and self love. Can we make a connection there?
We have to.
Okay.
Um, I mean, uh, if you erase the spirit, everything else falls short. Actually, if you erase any part, because a lot of times in this culture we categorize things. So we separate the spirit from the mind, and the mind from the emotions, and the emotions from the intuition, and the intuition from the body. Not realizing that when we isolate any one of them, we weaken the whole thing. So you can have people who are spiritually in love with themselves, supposedly, but their bodies is falling apart. How is that love? You can have people who are physically fit and excellent physical specimens, but when it comes to emotions, they are horrible to not only themselves but to other people. We have run into people where they fall short because they are not exercising all five parts of the being. Now, one of the things I've been working on a blog for my private group, and it's called The Tools of Oppression. And there's a dude out of Atlanta, and he is in charge of. He has a school called a school that's run up under his organization called the Aya Institute. Last name is Matamiso. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember his name. Brilliant brother, and he says there's 6 basic emotions. And we are caught in 3. Mad, sad, and scared. All the other emotions could fit in between those. And oppression causes us to be mad, causes us to be sad, causes us mad, sad, and scared all the time. So we can't express or really embrace the positive sides of that. And in order to really love ourselves, we got to be able to get to the positive side of those emotions, because if we leave the emotions out, once again, we're not healthy. Let me shut up. I'm sorry.
No, because guess what? I would like to, based on what you said, I'd like for us to maybe see if we can make a connection between the mad, the sad, and the scared, and how it's always within us. And how does that impact? Because this month of February is a month of love, but it's also the month of Black History Month. So how has that impacted us, say, as a culture, as a group, as a people? How has the mads, where does mad, sad, and scared show up for us? How does that show up for us?
Now, because like I said, he's in Atlanta. When we come to Atlanta, I'm gonna go visit him and his beautiful wife. But my mind is slipping. I can't get the name right. But the name for anybody that's interested is the Aya Institute, and he's in Atlanta, and he does a intense training on this. And he talks about mad, sad, and scared. And he says, okay, cool. So what we have to be able to do is identify, because a lot of times we be mixing up emotions, and because we mix them up, we can't really deal with them, because I might be dealing with something thinking that I'm mad, but I'm actually not mad. So he gives you the qualifier. He says, what does being mad means? When I'm mad, it means that in some form or fashion, I have been violated. So when you're looking at yourself, you think you're mad, you got to ask yourself the question, am I really mad? Because what's the violation? And many of us, if we think about it, many times we thought we were mad, but in fact, we weren't mad because there was no violation. So we're feeling one of the other two. So you got mad, which the question is, what's the violation? If you can't answer that, you go to the next one. Sad. Sad. I'm sad. Why? Sad comes with loss. What is the loss? Many of us are dealing with sadness, thinking that is anger, thinking that is mad, when in fact, we are scared. Oh, my fault. We have lost something and we can't admit it. And the last one is, we got mad, sad, and scared. Scared is, what's the danger? Right? So now when you start really learning how to identify those, it gives you tools so that you can actually start dealing with some of this oppression that's coming from the outside, as well as the impression that's coming from the inside. So
Absolutely. And that brings me to the point of, because I'm a health person, a healthcare person, I'm always concerned or always interested in how things are going to affect us in our bodies, right? So the subject here is that the body keeps the score. So everything that we do, our bodies remember, right? So the concept of the body keeps a score was popularized by the psychiatrist and this trauma expert. His name was Dr. Van der Kolk. And it encapsulates the idea that our bodies retain the impact of traumatic experiences, that instead of being solely confined to the mind, the effects of trauma manifest themselves physically. This includes changes in our neural pathways. It includes alterations in our stress response systems and even our physical or somatic symptoms. And the phrase, the body keeps a score, underscores the interconnection or the interconnectedness of mental and physical health, highlighting how our experiences, the mad, sad, or scared, especially those marked with trauma, leave imprints on both not only our psychological, but then also our physical. And so I was reading somewhere where, everyone on earth, every human being on earth, we have parents, we have grandparents. We can actually go back. If we were to go back 14 generations, who I am today is who my mother was, my grandmother was, my great grandmother, all the way back 14 generations, and not just on my mom's side, but then also on my dad's side. So I am a combination, a compilation, an accumulation of every person that came before me, not just in looks, not just in hair texture, not just in physical abilities, but then also those experiences that they felt. So if they felt mad, if they felt sad, if they felt scared, if they felt love, if they felt hate, any of those things, any of the experiences that they've captured, they're somewhere inside of us. And so, my thing is, I already have children, right? But what can I do to make an impact, or what can I do to change, perhaps, or make an effect on, say, my grandchildren or my children's children? Children's children? What can I do? What can we do now to impact the next 14 generations moving forward? Is there something? Hey, Dr. Karasay.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, I was just trying to make sure I wasn't muted. Hello, good evening, everyone.
Hey.
Did you get my message? Because my show was today. And then I just left Senator Holscher's campaign kickoff event. So
Okay. And then I think I'll share with you that I was in residency until 5:00 today. So
okay.
Y'all going with that doctor talk. Nobody want to hear that doctor talk.
Yes, you do. Love it.
Leave us alone.
Especially you. Yes, you do.
I'm in residency.
Y'all don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
The body keeps the score. Ouch.
Yes. Did you feel that? All right. So the body keeps the score. We're talking about self-love. So how can we make the connection again between our physical experiences, the interactions that we have? How can we make that connection with, or what can we do to then show ourselves love, self-love?
I think one of the major things is, once again, learning to distinguish between those emotions, right?
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Because let me speak for me. For years, I lacked, or in many ways, I still lack the vocabulary to express how I feel, because I have, from the womb damn near until now, I have had to be dealing with trauma. So it's hard for me to even express when I'm hurt, because especially after speaking with my elder, I have to really determine whether I'm really mad, or am I scared, or am I really sad? You know what I'm saying? Did you violate me? Are you leaving me? Or what? Scared, mad, sad, scared.
Scared, yeah.
Are you leaving me? Is it a loss? Is it a violation? Or is there a danger there? You know what I'm saying? So I'm just now getting that framework. I never had that framework before because we don't talk about emotions in our community. I mean, even when it comes to death, we don't even give ourselves a full mourning period. You know what I'm saying? Somebody die, I got to get my ass up and go to work the next day. We don't even allow for individuals in our community to actually mourn and go through the process. So we got broken people interacting in places of business, in places of worship, and because we don't recognize that, it puts us all at risk. So how, you know what I'm saying? We know that the body keeps the score. It's called epigenetics. We got the epigenetics, so it moves through the generations. Then your body, personal body, has all the trauma that you have went through that's in it, encased in it. You know what I'm saying? That you pass on to the next generation. So we have to start learning how to talk about some of these pains and some of these emotions that we're going through. And I'll stop.
So I wanted to ask a question because from my studies, I learned that there were two emotions. So you're saying, Brother Hatim is saying that there are two emotions.
No, I'm saying
not two emotions.
I'm saying that now what elder and somebody in the chat that's on in Giami, please text the name. Aya Institute. They do a training on it. He talked about 6 basic emotions. Now, of course, they mix and there's a whole bunch of others, but he's giving us basics. So he got mad, sad, and scared on one side, and he got peace, power, and joy on the other. Right? 6 basic emotions that we are able to, that he could give you the compass to help you find what you are feeling and how to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, I was going to add, like, years ago, I learned that there were like 2 extremes. There's either like how we behave, how we move is based on 2 things. Is either out of fear or out of love. Let's see. Can anyone speak to that? And is there a difference between those 2, fear and love, compared to mad, sad, and scared?
no, it's well, I mean, it's still, all these are still breaking down. There's a polarity because each one of those negative 3 line up with those positive 3, so that we're still dealing with a polarity. Either I'm operating out of love or I'm operating out what you say, love or what?
It's either love, or it's either fear or love.
Fear or love.
All of our actions, yes.
So now check this out. What happens? Because like I said, that's kind of a limiting vocabulary as far as emotions. Either I'm operating in love. Or, you understand what I'm saying? Because it's true, but what about when those other emotions that we feel? Because we know because all of us have experienced some fear before.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Some of us have experienced loss. Some of us have experienced a lack of being powerful. Right. Felt sadness before. So, what the elder has done, he has given us a vocabulary where we can actually use to have a discussion within ourselves, as well as have a discussion with the significant others in our lives. You know what I'm saying? At first, I thought I was mad at you, right? But I had a mixture between fear, you know what I'm saying? Because I lost you, as well as, and sadness. I lost you. You know what I'm saying? What is it? Sad is what's the loss, and fear is what's the danger. I mixed those 2. You're gone. I missed you. And the danger, you know what I'm saying? What's the danger? Damn, I ain't got you to lean on no more. So many times, not being able to voice what I'm feeling emotionally can affect me physically. You understand what I'm saying? And it can affect me mentally, because especially coming through the Generation X. I'm a Generation X black man coming through a Generation X black man. I've learned how to push my emotions down. But even though I'm pushing
Right.
them down, it doesn't mean that they're not affecting me. And it
Right.
doesn't mean that they don't leak out sometimes.
Right.
Because 2023 was a year of leaking out emotions for me. You know what I'm saying? Like 50, how old am I? 55
You're
years worth of
55.
shit is just spilling out everywhere. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, that's my personal woes.
Well, and again, those emotions will show up within our bodies at some point.
Right.
Right. The concept of how the body retains experiences is rooted in the understanding that traumatic events can create those lasting imprints that we mentioned on both not only our nervous system, but also on various bodily functions, right? To Brother Hatim's point, when individuals face distressing situations, the body activates in a stress response, right? So I'm sure, based on to your point, I'm sure you felt, and all of us feel this stress response, which triggers this release of stress hormones like cortisol or adrenaline. And in cases of severe chronic stress, those physiological responses can become ingrained, altering not only our neural pathways, but affecting the functioning of our organs, even, right? So, for
Right.
instance, the amygdala, which is a part of the brain, and that's a part of the brain's emotional processing, it can become hypersensitive to potential threats, right? You're mad, sad, or scared, and it can lead to heightened emotional reactions, right? So, for instance, I don't know what happened for me. I don't know what happened in life. I don't know if it was this life or the past life, but I cannot stand to hear something slam. I cannot stand to hear like at my storage unit when you close or slam down the storage unit. I can't stand to hear that. I mean, I just jump. Door slamming. You could ask my children whenever they're getting in and out of the car. The quickest way for me to get in their behind is if they slam a door. Please do not slam a door. Don't slam a toilet. Don't slam nothing, because I don't,
That's a hard life.
It is a hard life, right? It's a hard life. It's a hard knock life.
Doctor,
right?
she needs some therapy. She needs some help with Dr. Care say she needs, because you got to slam a toilet every now and then.
No,
A
you
door or
don't ever
something.
have to. No, you don't ever have to slam a toilet,
Oh
right?
my God.
And my niece Tyra says, "Me too." My niece Tyra says, "Me too." Like, Tyra, you feel me? We cannot stand to hear no loud noises, and it could be because we have been around a lot of loud, loud things that were startling to us, right? Also, the hippocampus, which is crucial, this is important, which is crucial for memory and learning, can be impacted, affecting one's ability to regulate their emotions, to your point, Brother Hatim, and to form coherent narratives about the traumatic experiences. So in my mind, somewhere something has happened to me. I don't know when or whatever, of these loud noises. And it could have been grown up in the projects and it was always just volatile.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have been. But when I go to replay this, the narrative is something really
Horrible.
a lot
Right.
more, a lot bigger than what it potentially was, right? All right. Brother Hatim or Dr. Karasay or Jackie or Mike, whichever one wants to chime in.
Well, I'll say that is true. I'm sorry, was somebody else going to say something?
Go on, baby. I got it. You got it. I'm sure you.
Okay. I mean, all of what you said is very, very true. I'm sorry, I've been talking all day. My voice. What are we? I know it's what I was going to ask you. What are we? What is the aim of the discussion tonight? Along with, I mean, because I understand what you're saying, but I'm trying to figure out in which direction to go, because again, everything that you guys said is true. So, I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking, because one thing that you will learn, or if you haven't already, uh, in the positive psychology. It's learning how to use emotions and regulate, or teach people how to regulate their emotions and use them to their benefit, and that is all of what positive psychology is. It's not about gaslighting. You know how, if any of you are familiar with, Joel Osteen, his whole thing is, what do they call it? Prosperity gospel. So everything out of his mouth is that you do this, you do that, and or you just be happy about everything, and then happy is just going to be drawn to you. And so people have started to try to relate that to positive psychology, but it's in that gaslighting mechanism, and that's not what it's about. It is about meeting people exactly where they are, because as you talk about emotions and the reason behind it, emotions are very, very subjective, and it is always going to, or we gain our emotional intelligence by how we experience, or the way we experience something, and then the way in which we internalize that experience, and then how we communicate it as a result of that. Whether we are able to communicate it or not, is also how we are able to communicate it. So all of that is a part of our emotions. And then, like Brother Hatem was saying, we don't always have the vocabulary. And I think we talked about this a few weeks ago in the chat, where I was saying how when you do talk to the people that you love and that you care for, and how you genuinely want to know how they are doing, you ask them how they are in a way that invokes a response, other than that one or two, I'm fine, okay, or the how was your day? It was okay, because that's what you're going to get from people. So instead of just saying, well, how was your day? What good happened to you today? What did you experience today that caused you to have a good day today? That will get, and that's how you encourage also your children to broaden their vocabulary, and to also have a safe space. And so that way, when they don't have the words, or if they don't have the words, then that's a way of them processing through you. They can tell you the narrative of what happened, and then you can say, oh, well, that is joy. And oh, that is, and you can fill in the word, and then their vocabulary starts to build. And then the other route of that is how you also have to think culturally. Here in America, there are, I would just say there are different cultures, whereas some cultures you have where it's okay for men to express their feelings openly and outwardly, and it is thought of as them being masculine, because it is, I am here and I have, because I am, I don't want to say the king of the land, but I am here, and if I have a problem, it's a problem, and y'all go, no. Or if I am happy and I love so much, it brings me to tears, this is joy, then you need to know that too, because I need more of that. Okay. And so that's how it's seen as strength. Whereas in the American culture, you see a man crying about something, he a bee, or he's weak, or he's yada, yada, yada. So again, it's about where you are. And then you also have the tropes that Black women are subjected to. You have the sapphire trope, and I'm not gonna go through the line of those, but also to Brother Hatem's point, when we respond to certain things, our responses are, or our responses are seen as something related to those negative tropes that are or have been formulated in the media or on TV about us already. So if we are sassy, or something of that nature, or what they consider sassy is considered an attitude. It can't be that someone genuinely hurt our feelings. And sometimes depression is sadness, and it is, remember, I don't want to use that word. I would say anger. That's the word I'm looking for. Anger in Black women is seen as aggression when it is it's really depression, or it is a response. It is their sadness response to anger. And it could, just be a part of that fight or flight. It is stay away, but come closer. I need help, but I also, something in you, I recognize that you are part of the reason why I don't feel safe right now. So I'm not sure, if I want you here because I'm trying to figure it out. And what you will find is that how you respond back to that woman, that is going to let you know. And most men know that how they respond to their women will determine, because I'm men set the tone in relationships. But anyway, that's a relationship perspective. So there are just so many avenues to go with that. But also back to positive psychology, there's something in that that is called exposure therapy. And so what it does is it puts, say you have because exposure therapy came about to handle different fears and different phobias. And so to get a control with that, I would say irrational fears and phobia. And so what happens is that you put people in the situation that they are afraid of. Like what you just said, there are some people who are afraid of our youth soldiers. If they hear something slam, it'll trigger PTSD in them and an anxiety response. Like you said earlier, the body does not know the difference between physical and emotional pain, emotional trauma. The body responds the same way. You can bleed on the inside, the same way you do on the outside. But so what happens is, say you have that soldier and they go into, or whatever issue they will have because they hear doors slam. Use that as an example because that's what you lose so well. And so they just have this irrational fear. They don't want to leave their home, whatever the case may be. So anyway, you put them in situations, and of course, emotional therapy is this whole thing, is a controlled environment. What you do is you expose them to doors being slammed, windows being slammed, yada, yada, yada. You create the environment, and then you allow them to experience all of those emotions, identify what it is, because also when it comes to the amygdala, is that it also can repair itself, because that is also directly responsible for your emotional intelligence. So what happens is when you are more exposed to this thing that in your mind you've told yourself is going to bring you any kind of hurt, harm, or danger, it tends to lessen it, especially if you're in a safe environment, which is what the exposure therapy, and you are not supposed to do this with somebody who is not trained, okay? Having people to get over fear of snakes does not mean locking somebody in a room full of cobras, all right?
Okay,
So,
right.
yeah, people, oh God, they just take stuff. Especially when they hear me talk about something online. They just, oh my God. But anyway.
Right.
So you rationalize it. It doesn't mean that the fear is going to go away, because guess what? If you do hear a gunshot, you're not supposed to sit there and go, oh, they're shooting.
That's just a gunshot, right?
Wonderful. Yeah, right. You're supposed to do that. Again, this is not about the gaslighting. It's about putting it into perspective, and then knowing, and so that your clear mind can come about, assess the situation, and then decide what to do from there. So it doesn't mean that everything about you stops and that you are not able to negotiate your thought process when you hear something slam, because it takes you back to war or to whatever. It has you to a point because now you have lessened the extreme because the exposure therapy is exactly what it is. We've exposed you to the slamming and to all of these noises and to whatever it is, all of these things that have made you or incited these emotions in you. And then you process through it. And then you also process through how you come out of it. Because we do not think correctly. And then you process we do not make rational decisions. And then you also we process through how you come out of it. Because always, we do not think correctly. And then you process we do not make rational decisions so that you process through how you come out of things out. Because always, tell you and then you process when it comes to emotional that you process how you can out of things out. Because always, you feel the way you feel. And then you process on the emotional intelligence as far as how you respond, and is it not only rational, but is your response also congruent with not only who you are, because I don't care what civilization says, it should not dictate whether or not your tears are valid because of the color of your skin, or if you are not able to express yourself as fully or show up as fully as you are supposed to because you're afraid of being seen as whatever adjective that you want to put behind that. But in the way that you respond to that so that you don't put yourself into further hurt, harm, or danger, because as a 48-year-old woman, I cannot pass out in the middle of the store and start kicking around in a circle if I don't, like a 2-year-old, if I don't get what I want, if I don't like something that happened. And I know that's extreme, but if you think about things that would happen with people our age, women will throw things, men too, or it will become physical aggression, or it can be that silent aggression to where you have people who are sabotaging you in your life and you don't know anything about it. And you don't find out about it until months or weeks or whatever later. So it's knowing that all of your emotions, whatever they are, they're yours, as long as they are authentically yours, and it's being able to identify them and then be able to move in a way and learn how to be in environments where you are safe, where you feel safe, because it is okay to not, I don't know if Sister Bobby is on here, but I think it was Sister Bobby, and it was the other one. I can't remember if she was a sower or not, but I told them, I was like, all you can do is what you can do. You have to make sure that you have the best heart posture and that you are communicating your needs effectively, because you can't blame people for things that they do not know. And you cannot expect people to change situations that they aren't aware of. And once you do that, you communicate those things effectively. You do everything that you can do, what you're supposed to do, but then people still come back at you because they still want to just keep stabbing you and keep just making you feel bad over and over and over again for what you did, even though you know that you have sincerely apologized and have sincerely tried to atone for whatever that thing is. It's okay to step away from that relationship. Even if you know you were wrong back then, and it's about, again, your response to that person. It does not mean that you go off on them because that's taking you back to where you were. It means that you are the healthy one now. You have to give them time to get to that point. But as that happens, your health and wellness means I don't need to be over there. I don't need to be in that environment where I am triggered or where it's going to take me back to a place where I don't need to be. That is in relationships with your children, that's in relationship with your significant other, that is in your relationship at work, at church. You do not have to keep going back to situations that do not evolve you or that do not allow you to show up whole and full without trying to make you be something that you are not, to acquiesce to their comfort.
And Dr. and Sarah, I was going to ask you, look, I'm always taking notes. I don't know if you can see my little notepad here, my little colorful notepad, because you are a wealth of knowledge. I wanted to say to you that what you just said, like that you don't have to, once you've done the best that you could, and once you feel that your heart posture, and I think this is probably my first time actually hearing that terminology, heart posture. And I wrote that down because I think I'm going to add it to my vocabulary. But once you have resolved within yourself, at least emotionally, that you are on the right track, that you have done the best that you could, then you do in fact allow, you just kind of leave it there maybe and give it to the other person and let the other person be held accountable. And to Brother Hatim's point, I can see how there is that connection. I can see how the understanding of whether you are operating out of fear, operating out of mad, sad, or I forgot the last one, mad, sad, or scared. How are you operating out of how to mad, sad, or scared? And then also how, just based on that piece of knowledge, how we see ourselves moving around in society fragmented, like we're not completely whole, and we can see that in other people because we're all operating, and like Dr. Karasay said, and Brother Hatim, we don't always have the vocabulary, we don't always know what to say or how to say it. Let's see, Brother Hatim just did something wonky with it. I mean, it's cute, but
He has some slides up.
okay. Now look, I can't hear you, Brother Hatim. Okay, he said 1 second. All right. But anyway, the conversation topic is that of self-love. And even though we're not talking about things that you should do, like going, no, you're fine. Let's see. Okay, we have one person that may be joining us. So the conversation, let's see. Hi.
How are you?
I am good. This is Vincent Galladay. I promise you, I have not seen you since you graduated high school in 1986.
86.
Oh my God, this is so crazy. I'm so glad to see you. Thank you for joining our conversation. So we're talking about February is the month of love. And typically when we think of February as the month of love, we think of flowers and cakes and whatever the candy that we do for the month of love and Valentine's Day. But it's so much deeper than that. Like that's really nothing. It is about how you view yourself and how you take care of yourself. And again, it doesn't mean, going to get your hair done or your nails done, but how you feel about yourself, how you see yourself, and how you move based on what you see, how you interact with the world. So feel free to join in to our, please feel free to join into our
this evening.
Good. We're so glad. Because look, next week you're going to be watching the Super Bowl, right?
Absolutely.
Oh man.
That'll give me time to get this thing together.
Enjoying some fine cigars and some libations. I'm not gonna be cheering on anybody because I'm a Browns fan. So.
Oh yeah, we're Browns fans over here. For anybody who is not a Browns fan,
they need to be.
Right. Well, thank you for joining us. So one point that we brought up, and I'm not sure if you were listening or whatever, but one point we brought up is that our body keeps the score for everything that we do. So when we were back at Warren G. Harding High School doing whatever it was that we were doing, our body still remembers that 30 and 40 years later. And we can see that, in how we are either able to move or how we're not able to move. You were an excellent football player. And I'm sure today you probably feel and experience, just on a physical level, some of the impact of your body, all the wear and tear that you did when you were in high school. I'm sure you can feel that now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
it is, and I'm dealing with it. Looking back to all of those years and the wear and tear through college and high school and college, and then even me going into the military and that wear and tear as well. So yeah, I absolutely understand exactly what you're saying. But
yeah. And so not just physically, emotionally as well. The things that have happened to us, we still feel it. The things that have happened to us in the past. And I did a little, just a little reading, and it said that we feel things that have happened, not just to us, but to our parents. So we, in a sense, feel our parents' feelings. We feel our grandparents' feelings. It goes back 14 generations. So for us as African-American people, right, bringing in this Black History Month, for us as African-American people, 14 generations ago, how many years ago was that? Like 200 years maybe? So those feelings that our slave parents, grandparents, great parents felt, those fears, those tensions, all of whatever they feel, it still has some impact on us, right? So for example, right, my grandmother, may she rest in peace, she would look at her grandchildren. So she would look at us and be like, she looked at my son and said, "You look like old man John Henry," which was her grandfather, right? If we could look like our parents or grandparents, then we can also experience and deal with some of those emotions that they may have had, right? So I was saying to the group that I can't stand to hear loud noises like a car door slam, or like in my storage unit, when you slam the storage unit, I can't stand to hear that. Or even when my kids are rude and they slam the toilet, right? I'm like, what are you doing? Like, y'all
You
know this
got to be
drives
able
me
to slam the
crazy.
toilet.
And it's maybe a form of PTSD, but
No,
it's
that's child
something.
abuse. Children should be able to slam a damn toilet, man. Come on, man.
He said
Stop
child
it.
abuse.
Child abuse.
Child abuse. Well, it's gonna be abused every time they keep slamming that toilet, but I digress. But we do feel those things. We have them in our bodies. And so I guess maybe because I know our conversation is drawn to a close, and I know that next week is going to be Super Bowl week. Everybody's going to be having a blast cheering for Kansas City or the other team.
Who the other team?
But in our continued conversation, I want us, because we brought these points out, but I want us to figure out ways. How can we, so for homework, how can we address those issues that are within us? How can we address maybe some of the fears? What are some healthy ways to address fears? Dr. Karasay said, I think it was exposure therapy. So like if a person is, if they're afraid of loud noises, maybe put them in a place, where there's a lot of loud noises, I guess, to build up their resistance. That may work, but it may not work. But what are some other things that that we can come up with, that we can do to, I guess, maybe empower ourselves? So those are just something to think about. Those are things to think about. Brother Hatem, you were going to say?
No, I was just waiting for one of my partners to get up here, because he experienced a lot of this stuff. And he was mad that he didn't read my stuff on my Facebook page or my YouTube page or any place else I posted. But he said he was mad because he wanted to be on here. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you Quasi Low. I'm out.
Quasi Low. Hi, Quasi Low.
Good evening.
Please don't be mad at Brother Hatem. Charge it to his head and not his heart.
Brother Hatem is always being facetious. He knows I'm not mad.
Y'all heard?
Well, we're glad
Y'all
to
hear the
hear.
tone, right? You hear the tone.
Yeah.
He don't talk like that. That was the fake ass I'm mad voice. I just ain't gonna let all these people know I'm mad. That's that fake ass voice. But go ahead.
Nah, I mean, on the real situation, it's not necessarily that I'm mad. It's that I'm actually experiencing like life or death consequences every day of my life, and it's like I'm trying to find help. So yeah, it's way deeper than mad.
Well, what are some of the scenarios that you find yourself in that would make you feel that you are in life or death situations, and not to be facetious?
I'm a recent survivor of colon cancer. It's been about a year and a half since I had in November 2021, I was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer, and I went through chemo and radiation and had a surgery in August of 2022 that a portion of my rectum was removed. And I'm still upset that I did that surgery. That's a side note, but the pain that I was experiencing that led me to get a colonoscopy and find out that I had colon cancer was replaced with new pain and new discomfort. And ultimately, just being a person that's always like, how Tim knows, I'm like always looking for ways to be a support of the Black cause and, our community, and finding ways to support people. And I often do it at the support of my own well-being. And even some of the like family generational traumas that I've I did and do a lot to try to protect my daughters from, and to try to be that that reset. A lot of those things just manifest as compounded trauma on my body and my spirit as well.
Brother Quasi, I appreciate you being so transparent and sharing with us what you are encountering and what you are experiencing.
I do. I pray you heal. My grandmother and my mother both survived colon cancer. My grandmother, I was really young when it happened to her. I think I was probably like 8 or 9. And then my mom, but she went through my grandmother, she went through chemo, and then she came home and she was okay. My mom, it was a bit different. It was a little longer for her. She went through chemo, but she also had the colostomy bag for, I want to say, about 7 years. But again, in her healing, she was able to lose it, and her colon was reattached, and she was fine after that. Well, I would say fine with the colon cancer, because we had to deal with breast cancer after that. But I say that to say, just to encourage you that what you are seeing and feeling and experiencing today is just that. It's today. It's today. And whatever questions or concerns that you have, then talk to your doctor about it. And get connected with what is it called? Or is it still called the Cancer Center of America? And get connected with people who are going through what you're going through, because it's helpful to talk to people who share your experiences, and then also to talk to people who have healed from it, so that you have something tangible to hear, see, and feel, and know that what you are going through right now is just temporary.
Thank you, Dr. Kerosay. Thank you. Brother Hatem.
When Brother Quasi texted me, he was real interested in this discussion, because the epigenetics, the emotional impact of life, the blame, shame, and guilt that a lot of us experience, the mad, sad, and scared, have all have all, in a sense, collapsed upon him to where he's experiencing some of the stuff that on a whole nother level, because we all experience it, but he experienced it on a whole nother level. And he really wanted to be involved with this conversation, because one of the things that he pointed out to me was there's not a lot of places, because we are and have been through what we've been through. Once again, our parents could die and we go to work the next day. Tragic things happen to us and we are supposed to be able to get over it real quick. I mean, this has been the struggle of Black folks for a long time. And one of the issues that I think that we really need to learn about is being able to sit down and have conversations about our pain, about our hurts, identifying our emotions, because they do lodge themselves in our body. As you said, the body does keep the score. And he was upset not necessarily upset with me. He was upset because this conversation is going on and it's going on in several different places, but he never get to have it with us. Because a lot of those groups, we won't sit in those groups, because some of us don't have time to sit in those groups, because even with cancer, I got to go to work. I got to get up. I got to get from chemotherapy. I got to get to work, goddammit, because everybody depending on me. The world depends on me. And like he said, a lot of this stuff is the result, and this is going to sound messed up, family. A lot of this is a result of him trying to help us. Wow. What do we do with that type of pain?
Wow.
I gotta give some pushback too. I really don't want to go back to the doctor, because I went to the James Solove Research Cancer Center, one of the world-renowned cancer centers, and they used my body for their research. They did what they wanted to do to see how it would impact me and what my survival rate, like how long I would live afterwards, without even like they never. I learned more about the gut bio. What is that word you use?
Microbiome.
The microbiome. I learned more about that from Hatem than I did from this panel of experts and doctors at the cancer hospital.
They don't. First off, they don't really discuss that. They don't discuss nutrition. They don't discuss. I mean, just the stuff with what that we're talking about. A lot of people don't even look at that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there are. But the issue is we're not studying it. We're not discussing it. We're not. So we got a long way to go.
Yeah, I'm like at the 300 level with that, and I say that they tell me that I'm supposed to say that humbly, but like I ain't got no. I got just a bachelor's degree from Ohio. I probably got echo in here, but I have
there's no echo.
Oh, okay. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology from Ohio State, so I have that a basic level institutional education. But when I met Hatem, I was hovering around 20 murdered friends. That was 15 years ago, and I checked out, and some of the most horrific things have happened since then. As I walk around the kitchen, I'm living in an Airbnb right now because I went through cancer, and like it's just so many things have happened, and I just imagine that I just am fortunate enough to have enough money to be able to afford an Airbnb. What's happening? And to be able to navigate things in a way that a lot of other people just don't have that option. They dealing with this on the street, you know what I mean? And I'm just fortunate enough to be able to have some level of comfort to be able to deal with this pain. But that also demands that I be a voice. So how does that happen? Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm it's so many things, even like down to my family dynamics, that I protect my family and I don't really talk about what's happened, but I can talk about those things without throwing people under the bus. Even though a better way to say it is I can talk about experiences in my family and how the trauma of other people has manifested as trauma in my life. And I can be aware of the trauma that other people went through. And I do have emotional frustrations about the things, but I can also, when I center myself, I'm forced to take other people's experiences into consideration, but it all needs to be talked about. Like in the Black community, we have this whole, how does it go? When you leave what happens in the house stays in the house.
Right,
That's
right,
yeah.
Yes.
right.
Yes. What happens at home stays at home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Protective mechanism.
That's a good way to put it. Kwesi, you just, man, I tell you, you have just ignited something that's never dormant inside of me. But you've ignited something inside of me that, it inspires me to want to continue to have conversations like this and open up spaces like this for us to have these conversations. Because for me, and this may be so not politically correct, but for me, conversations like this is more edifying and more beneficial than hearing about what's going on in social media, what's going on in the social media world, that keeps this world going and spinning and being crazy, in my own personal, non-professional opinion. So conversations like this is edifying, it's beneficial. You can carry this conversation from the couch to the community. You can carry this conversation into your homes and then begin to generate discussions amongst your family members, your community, etc. I would like to invite you, Brother Kwesi, to a Thursday conversation that we're going to have, because we're going to go ahead and we're going to conclude this conversation for tonight, but it's not the end of it. It's just the timing that we have. But I would like to invite you to our Thursday conversation at 7:00. Would you be available to come hang out with us on Thursday to continue this conversation?
I had a feeling you were going to say at 7. At 7, I'm doing my planning call. I'm doing a citywide spades event to try to get Black people out thinking of things that resonate with Black people, so we can start having these type of conversations where they say you go to where you got to go meet your people where they are. That doesn't always mean physically, like conceptually. People like to play spades. Planning a spades night for February 18th, and we have this next 2 Thursdays to finish our plans.
Where's the location for this space?
It's at the Royal Oak Institute on Parsons Avenue. I can't think of the address. From 7 to 10. I got a flyer. If I can post a flyer on Facebook on this. We just got the flyer finished. It's dope.
Please post the flyer, and if it's okay, I wouldn't mind sharing it, and then encourage other people to share it as well. And bring us to your spades championship, or bring us to your spades game on Thursday. Like, let them see us. Let us connect. So post your camera there and just have us there with you, because I want to see. I'm not in Columbus.
Oh, you're not in Columbus?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm in Atlanta.
Okay.
This crowd all over the country, bro.
You're right.
I can do my best. It's going to be from 7 to 8. I can do my best to be there at the beginning of my planning call and tune in with yours at 7:30.
No worries. We'd be glad to have you.
And then
whenever
they'll be back. We'll be back on here 2 Sundays from now. So like I said,
that's the same day as the spades time.
But then we still got conversation after. We'll work it out. We'll talk. We'll talk and get you on, because like I said, this your thing. You like doing this, so we can build this up. And because there's other people, because the whole piece is, once we start thinking that we're in a silo and we're alone, because many of us, we're going through some of the same struggles. We just, you know what I'm saying? We suffer in silence.
Differently.
Right.
We're carrying differently.
And suffer in silence. And because we suffer in silence, we don't know that there's other people out there that have either experienced or going through the very same thing. And in many ways, there's wisdom out there to help us get through it. Because like right now, we're the elders for our conversation, because elders have been through all the issues that we're talking about. Whether we're talking about cancer, whether we're talking about relationship and breakups, divorces, all types of pains and surgeries. We got elders in our community that have been through every last one of these steps, and they could walk us through it. They can walk us through it. It's just a matter of us being patient enough and wise enough to listen to them.
I concur. I totally agree. Brother Kwesi, Brother Hatim has all your contact information. But if before we go, if you don't mind, maybe drop it in the chat. That would be great. That way we'll be able to communicate with you. But we're going to go ahead and conclude our conversation for tonight. So if you give me just 1 second here. Thank you all so much for joining us here on our Sofa Chat. We look forward to having you join us on Thursday nights at 7:00 p.m. And we also are here on Sundays at 7:00. We're not going to be here next Sunday because the Super Bowl is going on. And we yield to the great Super Bowl. But God willing, we will look forward to seeing you on either Thursday or Sunday. But thank you so much for joining us. And you guys have a great, great, great night. God bless you.
Good night.
Okay, that was for Facebook.
Okay. I need to say something really quickly. I'll try to be fast, but so just to bring some things into context when it comes to
hold on.
epigenetics, it's an evolving study. Things concerning epigenetics.
Do you want this to stay online, or you want me to take it off? Because we still streaming. I could take it off right now, just so we got what you want me to do.
Dr. Kersey?
I'm asking.
Your platform.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever you decide. I'm okay.
All right, I'm listening, but go ahead. I'm gonna turn it off. Go ahead.
Okay. So and I'll be brief. So two main